All right, let's dive into something really cool today, rhythm. We've got some excerpts from the Diccionario de Ritmo. It's a rhythm dictionary, right?
Yeah, rhythm dictionary. But this one's pretty unique, created by a Brazilian musician, Juan Omar de Lima. He also went by JackLima.
JackLima.
Yeah.
Okay. And what makes this dictionary, this Diccionario de Ritmo, so special?
Well, it's all about this system he created called limatura, and essentially it uses numbers to visually represent rhythmic values.
Okay, so like a new language for rhythm.
Exactly. It's like a whole new way of looking at those building blocks of rhythm, and you don't even need to know traditional music notation to understand it.
So he was trying to make rhythm more accessible
Yeah.
to more people.
Absolutely. Lima really wanted to break down those barriers and make rhythm something that anyone could grasp, no matter their musical background.
That's pretty cool. Can you give me an example? How does this limatura actually work?
Sure. Let's look at the binario 3 rhythm. That translates to a 6/12 time signature in our traditional notation.
That's
But instead of thinking about it as 6/8 notes in a measure, you would see it in limatura as the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all evenly spaced out.
So it's less about the notes themselves and more about the duration.
Yes. It's all about getting that pulse, that division of time instantly, and that's what helps you really feel a rhythm and replicate it. You could even tap along with it easily just by looking at those numbers.
Interesting. So you're not just seeing the rhythm, you're feeling it differently. Do you think that actually changes the way somebody plays?
That's a great question, and something Lima was really passionate about. He truly believed that if you could simplify that visual representation of rhythm, then musicians could internalize even really complex patterns much, much easier and improvise more freely, too.
Yeah.
He saw limatura as this tool for unlocking creativity, not just, understanding.
Right, right. Now, you mentioned Binario 3. Can you give me an example of a piece of music where we might hear that rhythm, where we might recognize that using limatura?
Well, think about a waltz. A waltz often uses that 6/12 time signature.
Okay.
So that graceful kind of flowing feel of a waltz, that's binario 3. And the limatura helps you actually see that underlying pulse, that repeating pattern of 6 beats.
I think I'm starting to get it. It's like this visual system is tapping into something more intuitive about how our brains actually process rhythm.
You got it. That's exactly it. And this actually connects to a much bigger point about how we learn anything that's kind of complicated. Visual learning, like using diagrams, right?
Yeah.
Or charts. It often just makes those abstract concepts click for people in a way that words sometimes can't.
Right.
Our brains are wired for recognizing patterns, and limatura, it plays to that strength.
Limatura sounds amazing, but I'm guessing this dictionary doesn't stop at the basics, right?
Yeah.
What kind of wild rhythms does JackLima throw at us?
Oh, it gets really interesting. He explores all sorts of rhythmic possibilities, from familiar patterns to, well, some that'll really make you think.
I'm seeing terms like scenario 4 and nonario 2. Those sound like spells from a rhythm magician. What are those all about?
Remember, limatura is about numbers. So scenario 4 just means a pattern with 6 beats divided into groups of 4.
So it's like this longer cycle, but still has that pulse within it.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even cooler. These longer cycles, they're not just theoretical. They pop up in music from all over the world.
Okay, now I need an example.
Yeah.
What kind of music uses these extended rhythms?
Well, take nonario 2. That's a 9-beat pattern. You find rhythms like that in Bulgarian folk music.
Really?
Yeah. They have these really intricate dances, and the rhythms are in these uneven meters. If you tried to count it out traditionally, it'd make your head spin. But with limatura, boom, you can see that whole structure laid out.
Wow. So this dictionary isn't just a guide to rhythms, it's like a passport to different musical cultures.
Exactly. It opens your ears to all these rhythmic possibilities you might not have encountered otherwise. And the cool thing is, even though these rhythms might seem complex, limatura breaks them down into manageable pieces.
Okay, so if I'm using limatura to break these rhythms down, does that mean I could actually learn to play them more easily?
That's the idea. See, Lima thought that by actually visualizing those patterns, musicians could learn them much more effectively. Think about it. Trying to learn, say, a Bulgarian folk dance rhythm just by listening. Tough. You'd be trying to count all those beats in your head. But with limatura, you have a roadmap. Makes it easier to feel it and play it.
That's amazing. It's like, when you're learning a new language, once you understand the grammar, the structure, it's like you can suddenly form sentences.
Yeah.
Express yourself.
Exactly. And speaking of unlocking a deeper understanding, JackLima, he takes things even further with his concept of Progression jackmetrica.
Progression jackmetric. Wow. Sounds intense. What is that?
You can call it PJ for short.
PJ, okay.
And it's like this tool that reveals the hidden potential in every single time signature. Think of it like this. A time signature is like, say, a house.
Oh.
You've got your basic structure, right? Walls, the roof, the foundation. That's like your basic pulse of the rhythm. But inside that structure, well, you can arrange the furniture in tons of ways.
Okay, I follow you.
You could have a cozy living room or a big dining room, all within the same house.
So what you're saying is, even with a simple time signature, like 4/4 time, there's actually a ton of rhythmic variation possible.
Exactly. And PJ, it's like this master key unlocks all those different rooms, all those possibilities within that time signature. It's a way of mapping out how to arrange that rhythmic furniture within the house of that time signature.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
So PJ, it could really be huge for musicians, right? Like
Yeah.
composers or people who improvise.
For sure. It's like giving them a toolbox full of rhythmic ideas that they might not have even realized were there.
Wow. So we've got limatura, making rhythm click, these amazing examples of complex rhythms from around the world. And now PJ comes in, showing us the hidden potential within any time signature. It's a lot to take in.
Wait.
What does this all mean for someone who's really into music, who loves music, wants to understand it on a deeper level? It's like we've been given this treasure map, but instead of it leading to like buried treasure, it's leading us to a deeper appreciation for music.
Exactly. You start to hear the music differently. Like, even if you're not a musician yourself, you can listen for those longer cycles in Bulgarian folk music. Or you notice how, say, two different songs, they're both in 4/4 time, but they feel totally different based on how that rhythmic furniture is arranged.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's really practical then, this PJ concept. It's not just theoretical. It's happening in the music we hear every day.
Oh, absolutely. Think about, like, a pop song versus a jazz standard. They might both be in 4/4 time.
Right.
But that pop song might stick to a really straightforward rhythmic structure. But that jazz tune, it's going to be full of syncopation and all these unexpected accents, even though technically they're in the same time signature. And PJ, it helps you see those variations.
It's like I've been listening to music in black and white, and now I can see the full spectrum of color.
Yeah, you're developing this more nuanced ear, this deeper appreciation for what the musician was doing.
I have to say, this whole deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I have this whole new way of listening to rhythm, thinking about rhythm.
And remember, we've been focusing on Western musical traditions. What's really cool is this system, this limatura, you could apply it to rhythms from all over the world.
Oh, wow. So we're talking about unlocking not just Western rhythm, but rhythms from any culture.
Yeah. Imagine taking limatura and using it to analyze those incredibly intricate rhythms in Indian classical music, or using it to visualize the polyrhythms you find in West African drumming. There's so much to explore.
It's like opening a door to a whole universe of rhythm. This has been an incredible journey, and I have a feeling it's just the beginning for a lot of our listeners. So to everyone out there, don't just listen to music, really feel it. Pay attention to those rhythms that move you, that make you want to tap your feet, that make you want to get up and dance. And hey, maybe even try making some of your own.